So for those of you who have been with Cirrus Insight for a while, you know that we started by solving a very critical but somewhat tactical problem, which is CRM hygiene. And we've helped sellers eliminate the manual steps of data entry and keeping the CRM accurate without the extra manual effort. But we are evolving. And today it really is something bigger than that. It's a strategic selling platform that really orchestrates the entire sales workflow utilizing AI tools. And so the slide that you're seeing here really represents that journey from the fragmented tools and manual work to an AI orchestrated selling process that really goes across the full revenue lifecycle. A few of these items are available today. Some we'll talk about that are going to be available in the future, but we will definitely touch on that. So the evolution really for Cirrus Insight did not happen by accident. It was guided by a very clear set of principles. Every day we build Cirrus Insight based on these principles, and it exists to help our customers build, manage, and grow their pipeline, to win every meeting, and to ultimately sell smarter. You'll notice those principles are mapped directly to how sellers actually work before a meeting, during the conversation, and then after the meeting ends. So let's talk about how conversation intelligence from Cirrus Insight works. The Cirrus Conversation Intelligence tool is designed to deliver value before, during, and after the meeting. So before the meeting even starts, there's a lot that you have to do. You're trying to learn about the company that you're meeting with. You're trying to learn about the contacts that you're meeting with. And there's a lot of context relative to past activity that may exist in the CRM, or information that you need to know so that you can tailor your conversation and or discovery questions based on maybe the industry that the company is in and key details that you may need to know about the company and the contacts. What we are doing at Cirrus Insight is delivering all of that insight to you before the meeting happens so that you can go in prepped and prepared. And we do that in a couple of different ways, which we'll talk a little bit about. But let's talk about what's happening during the meeting. So during the meeting, Cirrus Insight is sitting alongside of that meeting to transcribe the entire conversation, to record the conversation so that you can focus on listening to the customer and the prospect and building that relationship, and not focused on taking diligent meeting notes. In the future, we'll be doing even more inside of the conversation during the meeting, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. After the meeting is really where the insights happen. So as we transcribe the meeting and capture all of the recording of that meeting, that's when we can analyze the information that's happening and be able to timestamp key topics. We can automatically surface next steps, like drafting a follow-up email for you and triggering tasks that need to happen after the call takes place without you having to do the manual work. As I mentioned, before the meeting, we're capturing all of that key account and contact information to help you prep for the call. And some of you who've attended previous sessions may already know this, or maybe you've tested it internally for your org or are using it today. But Meeting Prep AI is live and it's available for all of our customers. And so if anyone has interest in getting this turned on and starting to see value out of this now, we would be more than happy to help get this enabled for your org. What does this look like? As you can see here, we can do this in a couple of ways, but what's useful is that we can send you a tailored daily insight overview of the meetings that you have coming up for the day, who you're meeting with, and what are the key insights and information that you need to know about the company and the individuals that you're meeting with. Many of you may already be experiencing some of this today in terms of how you're conducting your meetings and how you utilize these tools. But before we jump in, I want to pinpoint sort of 3 common use cases that we're going to cover in the live demo today. So one of those is a B2B account executive. So they're conducting their first discovery call with a new prospect. We're also going to look at the use case of a financial advisor who's meeting in person with a client for their annual portfolio review. And then we're going to look at the use case of a customer success manager doing a 90-day post onboarding check-in with a customer. So let's hop over here to our Meeting AI dashboard. I want to start on this screen to tell you a little bit about how the tool works within your calendar. So we're already connected to your calendar today. Many of you on the CRM hygiene side of things are already getting all of your events captured and brought over to the CRM and vice versa. And so we're looking at those calendars today and finding all of those external meetings that you're having with customers and prospects and clients. And we are generating all of the pre-meeting research once the event is added to the calendar. And then we can also invite the Cirrus Insight conversation intelligence tools to join those meetings. You'll see here on my calendar, I have some meetings that are white, some are marked in blue. The blue meetings are those that are happening externally where we have meeting research that has been performed and also where the Cirrus Insight tools are invited to join the call. So we are going to hop over to our discovery call that happened on Monday. And as we look at the different tabs across what's available to us now that this meeting has been conducted, we have a next tab that's giving us next action items, which we'll dig into. But where I want to start is just the foundation of what we're doing here, which is we're recording the meeting. So at a baseline, you would expect to be able to go back and see the video recording of the meeting that occurred, but also see the full transcript for that meeting, which, as you can see here, is also searchable. But where does this really help? And that's in the overview of the analysis that it performs from the transcript and the recording. So we'll look at this in a couple of different ways, but I want you to think about what your process looks like today. You probably have an existing sales process that you follow when you have a first call with a client or a prospect, and you have certain discovery questions that you need to ask. You have certain steps that you need to take in order for you to consider that to be a successful conversation. And so there are different models that customers may work from. A common one that we see in the sales space is BANT. And then there are really just a multitude of others that are used out there. But what I'm getting at is that in this detailed analysis, we are tailoring the analysis based on your knowledge, your playbooks, how you think about your sales process. And so we've modeled ours after our model, which we sort of internally call the 5 Ps off of profile, problem, pain, power, and process. And really what that's doing is it's pinpointing areas in the conversation where those things have happened to make sure that we've really completed a comprehensive call. We've done the things that we need to do to make this a successful conversation. And what I love about how the detail analysis works is that it's time stamping key topics that it has recognized in the transcript and recording. So for example, the business impact. Where is the business impact to address the problem that the prospect is having? And it's time stamping it and allowing me to actually click on that and take me to the place where that conversation on the topic happened, and even timestamps the recording of where that happened as well. So it's very useful in terms of being able to timestamp and go back to where you were in the conversation. So now I'll jump to the next steps. And this is the part that I think really has a lot of benefit in terms of being able to provide not only insights, but also being able to perform steps for you in the process. So you can see here that it's organized in 2 sections, do now or do next. And in the do now category, there are 2 tasks that it has surfaced for me based on the conversation. One is sending up follow-up documentation, and the other is sharing the recording of the presentation. So here I'm going to click on the send follow-up documentation. You can see here the recommendation that it's giving me is that I need to send an email to the attendees of this meeting. And so here in the chat panel, it's giving me all of the analysis of what it pulled. So you can read through all of that if you'd like. You can even ask it questions about the meeting. And then you'll also notice that it has drafted follow-up content for me. I can go in and review the drafted content, and you can see that it's fully summarized every key point that we discussed and personalized it to the email. Not only has it done that, but it's recognized where I mentioned specific resources that I wanted to send back to the prospect, and it has preloaded the links to those directly in the follow-up content. So it's a very easy way for me to now just take this and send it right to the prospect. If I need to edit any of the information or maybe pop in one of my meeting type links from Cirrus Insight to book a follow-up conversation, I can easily do that and then send along the information. So from here, let's navigate to our next example, which is an in-person meeting. And you might be thinking, okay, I'm in person, so it's not going to be able to transcribe the call. And you're totally right. However, that doesn't mean that meeting notes haven't occurred or take place, that you may want the analysis to run and then perform next steps for you, as we saw in the previous example. So you can see here on this tab, we have our client biannual review, which we conducted with the customer. And from here, we have the ability to actually add manual notes. Those could get added a couple of different ways. If you did perhaps have another tool that you've been able to use either on a mobile device or in person, you can paste the information in, or you can simply type written notes in. Or the other cool feature that I like is that you can also dictate some notes. So let's do that here just for purposes of an example. This is Advisor, and I have met with Sarah Lawson on January 15th. We had an advisor office review. It was in person. We discussed reviewing the overall portfolio performance from the prior year. We discussed the current return and outperformance of the portfolio today and how it's performing. We talked about an increase in the 401k contribution by 2 to 3%. We also reviewed and expressed comfort with the current strategy and agreed that the recommended adjustment needs to be made. The advisor, we need to send post-summary recommendations and changes for the client to approve. We also need to implement the contribution increase and portfolio rebalance, and then we need to schedule the mid-year review. So I'm going to stop the dictation, and you'll see that it's taking everything that I just said and it's putting it right into the notes. I can save those notes, and then the idea is that it would be able to perform the analysis and the information on those notes just as if I had transcribed it. So let's go over to our third example. And this is where we've had a 90-day post-onboarding check-in with our customer. And so our next to-do items look a little different. They're based on the fact that the customer has identified some key questions and items that we need to follow up internally on. And so my next steps may not be to email the customer yet. It may be to actually communicate internally with my team. So we can see here that we've got an engaged support team about a lead object that is not currently visible. If I select that next step, I can look at what it's drafted, or I can also say, hey, why don't you refine this to be an internal message to our support team to recap what we tried and discussed on the call, to have the team assist. And so it's not just about taking what it gives you, it's about helping the AI to refine what you're looking for from the meeting. And so here it's drafted some content and I can review that. So I can see that it says, hi, support team, following up on the recent call regarding the vendor lead custom object visibility. Here's a summary of what we tried and what we discussed in the call so far, bullet points, can you please help, right? So as you can see in these three examples, there are several different ways that the conversation intelligence tools from Cirrus Insight can be used today. I'm going to hop back over and let's talk a little bit about sort of the shift of where we're headed. I mentioned very early in the presentation, there were some things coming soon in terms of how we work inside of the meeting and after the meeting. And one of the things that I want to call out is that we really are looking to position ourselves in the ability to be able to listen, learn, and act as the meeting is happening. So looking ahead, we're working towards delivering even deeper insight across the meetings, as well as introducing things like a live coach that can ride shotgun with you during the call. The coach builds on your organization's specific knowledge, the playbooks that you have today, the processes and best practices that you want to put into place. So imagine it as a sidekick sitting in the live meeting with you, and it's gently nudging you to ask critical questions, to clarify a key point, or uncover an insight that may have otherwise gotten missed. So as we introduced these new capabilities, we're also kind of evolving how our customers can access them. And so with that, we're also introducing the Cirrus Flex pricing model. Cirrus Flex is a simple fixed pricing model designed for your team and how you're growing and how you need to get value out of Cirrus Insight. So it is designed to sort of be a la carte, you pick your feature type of approach. And you may have different users that have different needs. So there is the option to explore groups of users that may need access to certain features and others may not. We also are offering the ability to get full feature access, to be able to try all of the new things that we are building and releasing so that you can try it, get value out of it, and then make a decision for your organization whether it makes sense to add that and invest or put it into your budget. So we're really excited about the option of being able to provide this flexibility to the customers, and happy to have more conversations with any account that might be interested in looking at the Flex model, as well as all of the features functionalities that we discussed today. With that, I will take a quick pause and see if we have questions from the group in the last 10 or so minutes that we have left. And while we are looking at the questions here to bring those over, I do want to just call out that we can put a calendar scheduling link in the chat for everyone today. There's also a QR code that you can scan here. We would love to have you book with our customer growth manager as well as our product advisor to talk more about any of these features specific to your org. If there's certain things that you're evaluating and have initiatives for, and you're wanting to know how Cirrus Insight can fit into that, we would love to have a conversation with you about that. All right, let's see if we've got any questions here.
Yeah, we got a couple that just came through. One about, are the notes able to sync to a Salesforce account?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we integrate with the CRM, the account, and the contact data for the meeting prep, right, to push the updates so that you can get all of the insights that you need in before the meeting's happening, right? We're aware of some other integrations that we want to pull in. And so some of the things that we're doing right now is having various conversations with the customers about how they would like to see maybe things that are coming from the transcript into Salesforce in the future. And there's a couple of different ways that we think we could do that, but we want to make sure that we have all the feedback from customers first so that we're thinking about the different permutations of their Salesforce instance and how we may implement that integration.
Yep, I think that actually touches on the second part of Jessica's question here too, that just came in with next steps that Cirrus comes up with, become, sync it to Salesforce to become tasks trackable there. I think all of that falls within the realm of what we would consider CRM hygiene, which is absolutely a near-term goal for us. So as Amy mentioned, we've got the sort of inbound Salesforce integration now, and then the idea is that either raw literal data captured or entered into this meeting experience, or insights that are elicited from the transcript or from the AI are all going to be able to be reviewed and pushed into Salesforce so that we maintain the highest quality and the most current level of accuracy with the data within the CRM.
Yep. And I see that there's also a question around, the bot. Is it joining every single meeting? So there's a couple of different ways that the bot can be set up. You can set it up so that you choose to invite the bot to the specific meetings that you want it to. Or there's an option where we're going to have it auto join, but it be based on, admin settings at the org level. So there is an option there for you to decide which meetings it's going to be invited to.
Mm-hmm. I think that, yeah, so the current state is org level setting. So if it's off, the auto join feature, if you will, the auto join is set to off at the org level, then you can manually add the bot to any meeting. If it's on, then it's going to automatically record meetings, but individual meeting hosts will be able to decline or opt out of the recording on a per meeting basis if they like. So all of that's the case today. But I do understand that there might be need for some more granularity or some variations on that control. So, Jessica, if you're interested in talking about that, would certainly love to have a conversation to better understand your use case.
You had any other questions here? Just looking through. And we use. Oh, this is a great question. So can we use the bot to record on a mobile device? So one of the things that we are very much committed to is looking at the mobile experience of Cirrus Insight and how that mobile experience works, before, during, and after a meeting. And so that is absolutely something that we are looking into, and Mike can maybe even speak a little bit more on sort of the mobile roadmap, if you will, but the mobile experience is something that we are committed to.
Yeah, I mean, I would just go as far to say the answer is yes, right? Because it's the recording isn't happening on the mobile device. The recording is capturing from the video conference, right? From the call, and it's the data is being injected into the Cirrus AI solution, right? So it's not contingent upon the mobile device as from a hardware perspective or app perspective. I would say the user experience and the workflow we recognize as being sometimes different on the mobile device, and so that's where we want to make sure we've got it, sort of critical path and as smooth and efficient as possible. From the just core recording, that's agnostic to the platform, to the device.
Yep. And so I know if you have asked, how can we have specific conversations and reach out to the team to talk through those. So I believe that we chatted through a calendar link. Anyone's welcome to use that to book time with the team. We'd love to talk to you about your specific use cases and figure out what needs we can meet with those. All right. So we've got a few more minutes left for other questions that the group may have. Let's see, one of those here is, we talked about the CRM integration. Can I use my current meeting note taker? So yeah, so I know that there are a lot of orgs, right? Either you've already invested in an AI note-taking tool that you've been using for some time, or your users are comfortable with a particular tool that they're already using. And so as I mentioned in the use case for the in-person meeting, we absolutely do have the option, right, for you to be able to bring in transcripts from other tools if that's of interest to you, to be able to have it do the next steps and the detailed analysis.
Yeah, and a couple of points I would make on that. First of all, you would if you have another note taker running, just thinking so like Otter or something like that, or you're recording a Zoom call, you've got something else that's already happening. It's not going to conflict with the Cirrus note taker or the Cirrus meeting assistant. They can both run and they can both record. So you can kind of get the best of both worlds, or if you've got different purposes for one approach versus the other, they'll be able to run in tandem. But as Amy said, if you already have a transcript or output from some other source, you could certainly, I mean, as of right now, you could just copy and paste that in. And we'll have the ability to recognize that as a transcript, meaning that, timestamps and speaker identification, we'll be able to include that in the text in the AI processing, and you'll get all the value out of it that way. If there are specific other note takers that you're reliant on or sort of critical to your process, we'd love to talk about that and understand that use case better.